Hi and welcome to Details. This Alfa Romeo Giulia is very clean, I must add. Wasn't always like this. Join me over the next 10 minutes where I show you tips, tricks, and a little bit of insider knowledge on how to get your daily driver looking as good as this beautiful Alfa. The wheels are a nice kind of graphite, but of course we have our usual iron fallout from the brake calipers and from the brake pads being used in motorway miles. And one thing we're going to focus on today is really trying to get these tires back to kind of what they should look like. Being a car that's specifically driven on motorways, we're also going to look and try and focus on this kind of black grime that does build up. Diesels do struggle from this slightly more. You'll see this around the back, especially the back exhaust pipes and around the filter cap. It is just one of those things that happen with diesels, but we're going to look and see what we can do with that. We're going to chat about products that we're going to use and see what can we really do to bring this lovely Alfa Romeo back to life. Standard issue, Northern Ireland, it's nice rainy day, so we're not going to get the lovely paint, but we are going to focus specifically on the road fallout, the general grime, and there's a lot of dead insects here. This time of the year, we're coming into summer, insects are going to smash the front of any car, but especially the front of this Alfa, we have to bring it back to life. Okay, so just as the rain gets heavier in Northern Ireland, brilliant, we're going to jump in and we're going to start with the wheels. Wheels being the way they are, we're going to give them a general clean first of all. Going to put a link in the description for anything I'm using today, but we're going to focus on wheels first of all, try and get as much as that brake cleaner off as possible. So we're going to focus on wheels to start. We're using a pH neutral cleaner. With brake stuff, what I tend to find is you cannot use too much, especially if it's pH neutral. The beauty of it being pH neutral as well is you can use it up around the wheels and the arches. All right, so it looks like Mr. Rain is here to stay, so we're just going to have to smash through this, you know, Northern Ireland summer. So just Wes is putting a jacket on there. You can see we've now snow foamed the car. I'm going to stress this actually isn't snow foam. What this is, it's a mixture of a pre-wash with a citric cleaner in it. And because of the nature of today, if it was a really wet day, or if it was a really dry day, I should say, we wouldn't be able to do this. But because it's clearly very wet, we're going to allow this to actually sit for a little while because there's no fear in this drying. When you're using any kind of citric cleaner, pre-cleaner, you cannot let it dry in the car because of the nature of it. You can actually see here before we even touch the wheel, and you can look here, hopefully you can see on camera, we haven't actually made any contact with this wheel so far. All we have is our pre-cleaner on it. We have a little bit of citric cleaner and that pH neutral alloy cleaner that I spoke of earlier. And you can see the brown coming out of the tires. It's a mixture of the mud from the road, but also pre-used kind of tire slick. Creates like a horrible brown substance, and you can actually see it running out of the wheel here. Again, we haven't touched this. I'm hoping that a light detailing brush rather than having to be too heavy on it. Other areas to look at already, we can see moving around the back. Again, we haven't touched the car yet, but compared to our initial walk around, we can see a lot of the black starting to drop off here. And then on this side, one of our problem areas here, that's just going to come off so easily. This car is going to turn out absolutely beautiful when we're done. So at this stage, we've got a little bit of a pre-clean mix with citric solution. We have our alloy wheel kind of cleaner. Again, pH neutral, doing its stuff there. With this weather, we're going to let it sit for 5 minutes. Then we're going to give the wheels a wash. You're going to see that. And then we're going to give it a power wash off to try and get a lot of the residual dirt off, get as much of the actual physical grime off. Then we're going to snow foam again and get cleaning. So stick with me. Okay, so when it comes to real dirty wheels, it's easy to be tempted just to go mental and go for it like an acidic cleaner. All that's going to do is damage it, especially when you see here already around the wheel, there's a little bit of carbon. If I attack this heavily with some kind of mad acid, that's just going to get onto the lacquer further and exaggerate the system. Also, just a little note, we're going to be very careful with the power washer here. Power washer, we are going to be gentle no matter what, but it's going to hit into that lacquer and just lift it like an orange peel. So what we're going to do is just real simple, focus on the areas that need a little bit of work, do a little bit of test patch. This is actually a very soft little brush, and we're just going to see how much we need to work on this. And you can see already that's actually just coming up very nice. A brush like this is going to take you a little while. There are other brushes out there. I'm going to show you my little hack, guys. So, in my little bag of tricks, in my little car that comes with me everywhere, I have this. It's a very soft detailing brush. Now you might think, why using a detailing brush when it comes to an alloy wheel? Surely that's not going to be strong enough. You're probably right, but if it was by itself, it wouldn't be strong enough. But you can see there, the soft hair gets into every little nook and cranny, and instantly it's making cleaning this wheel much easier. Now, I'm going to stress, this is just the first cover. We are just getting off the real hard to work with areas, the original road grime and the brake dust. Then we're going to hit it with a fallout remover. That's going to remove the actual pitted in and hopefully bring some of the colour back up for this. So let me crack on with this and I will catch up with you in a minute. Okay, so you're back with me, wheel number 2. Just want to show you this because I'm going to hopefully use this to show the difference between kind of regular brake dust, which you can see is coming off quite nicely here, and then the difference between pitted in iron. So you can see on this wheel there's a little bit of black oxidation. Now, for the majority of people when they're cleaning that, will just be like, oh well, my wheels are pitted, that's the way it's going to look. Hopefully here I'm going to show you the difference of a regular wheel cleaner and something like an iron fallout remover. So give us a little second and we will see how we get on with this black painting. All right, so we're still working on the wheels. You can see at this point we've got a lot of the kind of residue starting to come off, but then how do we get inside the barrels? So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can get your hands mucky and put a microfiber towel in there and just kind of work your hand in and out, or this is called a wheel woolly. In essence, it's a big fluffy thing on a stick. It's not overly complicated, but it does work really well for getting in there. And my advice is keep an entirely separate bucket for your wheels because you're going to pull out a whole load of cack in there. The dust shields around the calipers, around the discs tend to break down. It just happens over time. And all you're going to be doing is pulling rust fragments, metal fragments into the bucket. So we're going to have to rinse this bucket out really well. We do use 2 buckets here, but we're going to rinse this bucket out really well when we're done and then use it for our actual wash. So you can see here, it's not exactly fun to do, but it is getting in there really well. And it is super soft, so we can fit in behind the lovely red calipers that Alfa Romeo do on this model. They are quite spicy actually. You don't see that on a standard BMW diesel. Yep. Okay, so we'll just keep working away and I'll catch up in a minute when I'm going to start power washing these. See the difference? We've made already. This is a by the by. You may see sometimes people washing cars and have these weird buckets and they have these little grids on the bottom of them. They're called grit guards. People think, oh, it's a faff, my goodness. Okay, I'm going to show you here. I've just done the wheels. I've rinsed out the bucket once, rinsed out the mitts, and we're going to look at what's at the bottom of this bucket here now. Okay, it's exaggerated because it is the wheels. I did mention earlier on that you're going to be pulling lots of stuff from inside the barrels. So if you can see in there, imagine you just have your normal sponge. You think the water's lovely, lovely. You're putting a sponge in and you're just pulling that stuff up onto your mitt and putting it onto the car. A grit guard stops that happening. That's literally the reason that grit guards exist. Okay, now that the car has been rinsed, we still haven't got physical with the car yet, sorry. We've literally just rinsed it down and you can see there's a huge amount of stuff we need to focus on. A lot of kind of dead flies, RIP flies. Something that you won't see until really, and that's why this process is so important. It gives you a steer on what shape the car's in. And overall the paint's actually pretty good, and it being white will help. But we can see areas here that you can see very lightly. Black stuff, that is tar. Living in a new kind of housing development, you're going to get it on the roads. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use a little bit of tar remover. This doesn't need to go over the whole car because it is pungent and not nice stuff. But we're going to do that just to loosen the tar ever so slightly. With any tar remover, less is more. So you don't need to put a huge amount on. And you put it on before you wash the car because it will ruin everything else. I'm just going to put a little, and you can see here instantly, hopefully the camera's picking it up. It's starting to run. I'm only going to put a little on, not going to put much on. The annoying thing is, guys, if I didn't do it at this stage, later on when I had the car nice and dry, it would really bother me because tar, especially on a white car, it's not great. So we're going to just do a little bit of tar remover. Again, some of this is probably just road fallout, but with this stuff here, you can just put it along the bottom of the doors and you'll spot if it starts to run, and then we'll just go over this with our power hose. And a good tar remover shouldn't require any physical contact. You'll see a theme here, guys. I don't like to touch cars. The more you touch them with the microfibers, the more you touch them with cloths, the more damage you're going to do to the paint. So if we can get away with just using a little bit of chemical, all pH neutral, all safe, and that is ultimately the difference between some of the stuff you'll see in Halfords and kind of home bargains. You go, oh, it's £1 for that cleaner. Sometimes it's just a really aggressive chemical and that's why it's cheap. So we're gonna let that sit for a minute and I'm gonna focus on the wheels. So these wheels don't seem too bad, but I did mention earlier specifically on this wheel, you can see a little bit of this naughty stuff here, and all it is brake dust that has just got cooked. Whether the driver's been driving a bit of distance over back roads, it's heated up and it's just welded itself to the wheel. Again, not sponsored by A-Kem, but this is their iron fallout remover called Purge, and it will react with the wheel. Top tip, put this on a clean wheel. Do not put this on a dirty wheel, because all it will do is react with the loose brake dust, and you'll go, oh, it's working really well, but it's actually not. I'm gonna do all the wheels at this stage, and then we're gonna get for the Instagram of that lovely purple thing that everyone seems to like, and it's just the chemical doing its thing. Whatever it does, it reacts with the iron and turns purple, and you get that cool little effect that everyone thinks, oh, it must be really good because it's turning purple. It's actually just part of the chemical process. Again, nothing really overly remarkable about what we're doing at this stage. It's just me talking you through my process. You do not need all the fancy stuff. You could go to the likes of Halfords. They do usually like a 3 for 2 on products, and it is enough to get you started. You can, if you want a steer on kind of some of the stuff I use, put a little question in the video at the bottom, and I'll happily send you through my stuff. We're gonna let that work for 3 to 4 minutes. Again, don't let it dry. We're still on the wheels, and you might be thinking, why am I watching a Valentine video just about wheels? I thought we were going to look at the car. We are, I promise, but you see already, we're starting to get some of that purple stuff. Some will go bright purple like you spray the wheels. Again, it's just an indicator. But you'll see, hopefully here, you can see a little bit of fallout. This is a bit of a harder horsehair brush. I won't use my good detailing brush in this, but I am barely doing anything, and it is just coming off. This is the kind of thing that you would sit at a car wash, maybe pay 10 or 15 pounds for, and the wheels would come out and all the dust and dirt would be off them, but you'd still get this horrible black residue. And here's the thing, guys. People go, oh, my wheels are pitted, my wheels are curved, there's no point looking after them. Wheels are a really good sign to people, especially when you're selling a car, that a car's been looked after. So even if they're a little bit curved, try your best to get rid of as much of the brake dust and the iron fallout as you can, because people do tend to look at wheels first. And okay, yes, this car has 100,000 miles. It's not going to be a show car. It's used to go up and down the motorways. But whenever we finish here and the wheels are really looking good, it's one of the first things the owner will see. Because I guarantee the owner looks at this car and thinks, oh, it's so much potential. I remember the day I picked it up, the wheels were lovely, and now they're covered in this awful cack that no matter what I do, I can't get it off. And all you need is the right stuff. Again, you don't need to spend big money. You could go to Halfords and they have their own versions of iron fallout. There's lots of different makes out there, and some of the bottles are only £5 or £6. You can see a bit of the purple there. This wheel is maybe especially bad. Maybe has a bit of a sticky caliper. There's a little bit more brake dust and fallout here. Again, you can see I'm not going mental. I'm just doing a little bit of physical touch on the... Is it weird that I keep saying physical touch? Physical touch on the car. To agitate. Something apparently my wife says I'm very good at agitating people. Agitate the wheels, agitate this lovely purple stuff, and you can see, especially here, I'm going to do this here. So you can see lots of the purple. That means it's started to have a reaction, and it means when I put the little brush on, this stuff is literally falling off. Stuff that you would never in a million years get off with just a power washer or a sponge. And you go, oh, it's actually, you know, attached to the paint now. It's never coming off. It will come off. You just need to use the right thing to tell it to come off. Don't spend big money. There's lots of cheap ones out there. It is called iron fallout remover. And again, don't panic. If there's little bits like this left over residue on the wheels, we can do that later on. This is just, we haven't touched a sponge on this here's our noodle. It's just getting the original grime off. Okay, so we're at a point now where we're about to snow foam this car. Snow foam's one of them things. We're going to look at it a little bit in a minute, why people snow foam. On a day like today, it's not uber necessary. On a car like this, in this condition, it's not uber necessary, but it's just kind of part of my wash routine, so I'm going to do it anyway. What I'm going to do just before that is I'm going to throw another probably dose of the iron fallout on the wheels. And the nice thing with snow foam is whenever I foam this and I'm washing the rest of the car, that there will just dwell. It won't dry because the snow foam's like almost like a cocoon. It stops the iron fallout remover drying, and that's the big thing with iron fallout remover. You don't want to let it dry. So that's the whole thing with snow foam, guys. It's great for like photos, washing your cars. It's not actually a cleaner. I know there's different snow foams out there that they say have cleaner properties in them. Some have ceramic coatings in them. Most snow foams, the main point of it is you put your pre-wash on, then you snow foam it. The snow foam lets the pre-wash do this thing without the danger of it washing and drying out, I should say. And then at the end, the key thing for me is I will snow foam it, let it sit for another 5 or 6 minutes. Then I will rinse it down, try and get as much of that physical grime off as possible. There is a theme here. Grime is bad. Then I'll snow foam it again. Then we'll start going with the mitt. The reason I'll snow foam it that second time is it's just to add extra lubrication for the mitt when it's on the paint. You're not relying just on the soap in the bucket. The snow foam is there too. Again, This idea of as little physical contact, as much lubrication as possible is good. It helps lift the dirt, helps lift all the grime off the car. I'm going to talk about this car a little bit as well because it is a beautiful car. So yeah, as I'm going to do a bit more washing, I'll chat to you a bit about the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Okay, snow foam applied. Time to take a breath. We're going to refill our bucket that we used previously for the wheels, make sure it's rinsed out really, really well. There's no stones or bits of rust running from kind of those dust shields on the brake calipers in there. Get lovely fresh water in it, and that's going to be specifically our rinse bucket. You'll have seen from the start, this bucket's remained completely unused. That is our wash bucket. It is the special bucket that only a clean mitt goes into. Again, you'll see the theme. Keep the mitt clean, try and minimize the amount of contamination on the mitt, and you'll have a lovely clean car by the end. We're going to let this sit. So some of the key things already, you'll see we have not physically touched the car, and sorry to this guy because his lovely driveway is starting to have all this grime. Again, the grime that you can see on the snow foam is a great steer of just how much dirt has fallen off the car before we have even touched it. The more dirt you can fall off the car before you wash it, and just look at that there. The more dirt you can fall off the car before you wash it, the easier your wash is going to be, and also the cleaner your mitt's going to be, the better the paint's going to stay. I'm going to grab a quick cup of coffee and jump back in with a little bit of information on this beautiful Alfa Romeo. Okay, so we're going to let that sit for just a few minutes, and whilst we do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this beautiful Alfa Romeo Giulia. So, I'm not going to lie, I do have some notes because there's a few things I do want to cover off. Now, first of all, this is the 180 horsepower 2.2 diesel engine, so it's not the quadrifoglio, that's the hot Alfa, but I will say that this Alfa Romeo, if you're looking to stay away from the kind of German BMW Mercedes saloon brigade, which, let's be honest, you do, and we're going to do the interior as well. You're going to see all the nice touches. You just will not get this in Germany, this design. So this is a Veloce version. There's 3 different versions. There is the Super, which is kind of the entry level. You have the Speciale, which, as the name suggests, it's the Super with a few special touches. Then have the Veloce. The Veloce came with the beautiful quadrifoglio front bumper. It came with, I'm going to say it, the most beautiful OEM factory wheels ever created. Those and the pepper pot style ones that came on the quadrifoglio. It came with the rear diffuser. Hopefully you can see this on camera. Again, remember, this is a 2.2 diesel that's designed for motorways. Engine-wise, 180 horsepower, it's a 2.2 diesel. It is a General Motors engine, it's not an Alfa Romeo one, but it is an aluminium block, so it is actually quite light, so it does actually handle quite well. All the weight's not in the front end like Audi's, but it does have the beautiful BMW 8F gearbox, which, I'm gonna say it again, is the best automatic gearbox currently on the market, 8-speed auto. And again, we'll look inside in a few minutes, but it does have the lovely aluminium paddles because that Veloce spec does go across to the interior too. It also has the proper quadrifoglio seats, this car, so it is lovely. The perfect daily driver. You want to get to your meetings, you want to get to work, you still want to get 50 out of the gallon, you don't want to pay big tax, but you want to enjoy the drive. You know the classic saying, Clarkson said, you're not a petrol head unless you've owned an Alfa Romeo, but everyone's terrified of them because they break. Dare I say that this is the perfect daily car for a petrol head. It has the looks, it has the economy, it's not overly hard to tax. It does drive well, it has enough spec in it for modern day needs. This car is what we would call Alpha White, which is the solid white. There's one here that I'm going to mispronounce, the Trifolio White, which is like a deep metallic, almost like a mineral white by BMW. But yeah, we're going to jump in on a few of the quirks and bits and pieces on this as we get deeper into the detail. I'm going to rinse this down and then we're going to start washing it. You'll see here we have our 2 buckets. If you've any searched online or maybe you've watched YouTube videos before and people dance past to say, oh, I'm going to use the 2 bucket method. What is 2 buckets, 1 car, you ask? Really easily. Old bucket is our rinse bucket and our nice bucket is our soap bucket. So you can see we have our cloth in there. Cloth is going to contact car, do 1 panel, then into the rinse bucket, rinse, 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 wring out, back into that. The theory being, again, all the dirt comes off in the cloth, you put it in your dirty bucket, rinse, 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 and you put it back into the clean one. Again, it's just trying to keep this boy here as clean as possible. At the end, I'm going to do a side by side to show you the difference in the rinse bucket and the clean bucket. At the end, it does make a massive difference. So let's start getting physical. This is probably the least complicated bit. You just work panel to panel, start at the top and work your way down. You'll see even now, I'm going to try and get some little bits here. Rain rails are classic for getting grime and just trapping them in there. Some cars have like kind of real thick ones. With the design of the Alfa, it doesn't. It has like a nice smooth roof. Then it has this weird shark fin that BMW for some reason started, and now everyone's copying it because apparently a shark fin is much better than a normal aerial. Work around the other side again, we're going to do that. So you'll see I haven't rinsed, I don't need to because I'm going to flip two sides and we'll do this one. There's no point wasting product when we don't need to. If this car had not been so extensively pre-washed, I would probably be rinsing between even maybe 2 to 3 circles, but we put a lot of pre-wash on this, so there shouldn't be much in terms of physical dirt on the roof at this stage. So, cloth is now done the roof. We're going to walk it over to our naughty little rinse bucket. Give it 2 or 3 rinses, give it a shake. And then into our clean one again. We're going to just keep doing that, and I'll catch up with you probably when I'm halfway through. Every car has its own little thing. Some are brake dust, some are bird poop, etchings and so on. This car is tar. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. We have nearly finished the sponging kind of the mid phase. But you'll see here all over the car, because where this guy lives, it's just like thick tar. Now, it is a rear wheel drive car, but you can see right down, right through, there's just a lot of tar. So what I've actually done is, whilst the soap is still sitting on the car, I've went around it with our tar remover again, going to let that dwell. And then, for such occasion, I have my baby mitt. Look at the little mitt. He's a baby mitt. That is going to be used for all the lower panels. You don't have to be like me, because, you know, anyway, a normal mitt would do, but I like to keep anything kind of halfway down the doors onwards to baby mitt, and then I kind of do more frequently wash him in the washing machine and stuff, because he will pick up a lot of grit, and he is only used in the wash bucket. Let's see if we can get some of this tar off. Baby mitt is doing us proud. We're just working down the lower door sills, and you can see he is just doing his thing now. You will discover a thing called, and I actually don't know what way this will film. I'm turning it sideways, sorry about that. There are lots of different things you can do in this process, but what I'd recommend in this case would be a full clay bar of the car. That's not what our customer's asked for today. He has not asked for a clay bar, so that'll be a whole different thing. So we're just going to do our best with what we have on us, and we're just working around the very bad clay, the tar areas, and hopefully you can see actually that's coming off really well. So well done, baby mitt. And then baby mitt will get a good rinse when he gets home again, because I will be using him again on maybe a car that hasn't been through a tar pit, it seems, and I don't want this car's tar getting on that car. Okay, so with any car, whenever you're detailing it, whenever you're working through it, there's a few things you just need to be aware of. The owner was really kind to kind of chat through the kind of danger areas with this. Obvious ones we already looked at is the lacquer peel on the wheels. If I attack that really aggressively with a power wash, I'm just pulling that all the way off, and no one wants that. But also the front end, because of the aggressive nature of the front bumper on these, the splitter, beautiful as it looks, there's little areas where the previous owner or maybe the current owner has caught on curbs and so on. If I attacked it really aggressively with a power hose or even with some chemicals, you'll get underneath the lacquer, and nobody wants that. So whenever you're dealing with a car 100,000 miles, it is kind of a toss-up between getting the finish that the owner wants, but also not damaging the car any further. I'm sorry, I'm absolutely in love with this car. Little touches, Alfa Romeo here, the projector headlights. Oh, it is a fresh car, 100,000 miles. Oh, you just won't get this in Germany. It's absolutely stunning. So anyway, I'm in love with this, and I'm going to continue cleaning it. What's next? We're going to spray what's called a coagulant, or a little bit of quick detailer, as everyone else knows it as, onto this. It'll just kind of cling the water together, and then we're going to use a drying cloth just to dry it down. What the owner's wanting today is like a chemical treatment on the car. He's not wanting a physical wax. Also, the weather today wouldn't be ideal for that. It's too damp. We're going to chemically treat it. We're going to let that kind of sit and stick to the paint, and then we're going to blast it off. So I'll chat through that in just a little minute, whilst I absolutely fall in love with this Alfa. Okay, so the car is now sitting wet. It is clean. It's really clean, actually. But it's still wet. What we're going to do now is we're going to spray this gloss coagulant onto it, and then we're going to do a few other bits and pieces. I cannot pronounce the name of this, so I'm going to put it up on the screen now. And we're going to put it on. This actually does something pretty cool here, so I'm going to spray it on first. See me do that, and then hopefully we're going to catch some of the noise it makes as it starts to work against the paint. So let's get this on. We're going to let this work for about 5 minutes, and then literally we're going to power wash it off. If you want to rewind this video back, you will have seen whenever I was doing this, and the car was being power washed, the water wasn't exactly running off easily. It wasn't sheeting off easily. I'm going to say that very carefully in case YouTube blocks me. It wasn't sheeting off very easily. It was kind of just sitting on the paint. What this is going to do is going to give this lovely bead that everybody wants. I actually give an example of this. On my terrible little daily, the Yaris, which is an absolute brute of a car, this car is washed like every 6 or 7 weeks. But you can see the rain on top is actually beading really nicely. And that's because it has this kind of chemical sealant on it. It doesn't require much washing. Big benefits of this stuff is as you do it, as you drive your car, when it rains and so on, the rain runs off the car quicker. It doesn't give the dirt time to stick. It keeps your car cleaner for longer. It means when you do go to wash it with this owner, probably in the next 7 to 8 years, it'll be easier to wash as well. So big benefits all around, and it's such little work. I really recommend it for anyone. So why grit guards? Mentioned it earlier on. I've just rinsed this bucket out. Now remember, we were very careful with this car before we went near it with the mitt. It was rinsed, pre-cleaned, rinsed again, fallout remover, citrus cleaner, all the good stuff. Rinsed twice, rinsed 3 times, then the mitt. And we still find this at the bottom of our bucket. Look what our little grit guard has caught. Hopefully you can see it in there. Unfortunately, it's not gold, it is grit. And also you can see there the kind of scum line. If you used one bucket, all you'd be doing is rinsing, back into the dirty bucket, back in again. Whereas you can see in this bucket, I'm going to empty it in a minute to show you guys in another clip, this water is still really, really clean. So it means when you're washing your car, you're putting a clean mitt on it, not a dirty mitt each time. Real easy mistake to make. Alrighty, so we've just emptied out our original clean bucket and our grit bucket. We've seen before, I did chat to you about the amount of grit just swirling about the bottom of that. You have this one then, and you can see the difference there. The bucket does look dirty at the bottom, and it's just because of the bottom of the bucket here. But honestly, I can put my hand in, and there is not a single bit of dirt, muck, even though a mitt was going back into that and doing the whole car. That's why you use 2 buckets. Mythbusters. Okay, so this stuff's been sitting on for about 7 or 8 minutes now. It's kind of finished fizzing, it's starting to drip off. It's time to power wash. One thing I'll ask you to watch for is when I power wash, watch the water just scoot off the paint. Gonna stress, this paint has no wax on it. It has not been clay barred. It has not been in any way polished. It has just been cleaned properly, and now we've put a ceramic coat on it, spray on ceramic coat. Will you see the difference? What's that? The water's running off the paint. People would swear it's been waxed. 100,000 miles, never seen a clay bar, never seen polish. Buy good products, it makes your life so much easier. Let's get the rest of this rinsed. Okay, so we're gonna go to the drying phase now. If you see someone approaching the car with a chamois, I'm not saying slap them, but brush their face with your hand at speed and force. These are so cheap now, they're big drying cloths. Again, a chamois, all it's going to do is drag anything across, because what, it's a dead animal or something. So, drying cloth with the coagulant sealant that we've just put on. You can pat dry first of all. Lots of different ways to do it. Pat dry, not going like that there, because that's bad for the paint. And then a light drag over. Nice and slow. And you can see suddenly, on one side it's wet, on one side it's dry, and we haven't damaged the paint. Leave this with me, I'm going to get busy and probably change the battery in my camera. We've been at this an hour and a half now, and we haven't reached the interior yet. So whenever people are going valeting, oh, why does it cost X amount of pounds? When you break down the driving to someone's house, all the equipment, and 20 odd years of experience and mucking about with cars, that's why it's not £5 at your local drive-through car wash, guys. There's a difference. So leave this with me. You can already see, hopefully the camera's doing this justice. This car is starting to look fabulous. Just like we have baby mitt, we have baby cloth. Baby cloth's great. Baby cloth will do the wheels, and it will do the mitt, do the sills, and it's just big enough to cover your whole hand, so it's not going to drag along the ground. Again, I think I picked both these up online, about £15 for the 2 of them. You don't need to spend big money, guys. You're probably watching this going, oh, it's easy because he's all the right stuff. Yes, it does make my life easier, but I'm doing lots of these, and time versus how much I can charge matters. So some stuff does make my life easier to kind of cut through the kind of time process. But genuinely, if you're interested, I will do a very light guide in terms of what to buy out there and put some links. Just let me know in the comments below if they think I'll be useful, me kind of chatting about kind of best value for money items. All right, so car is now bone dry, and hopefully you can start to see the difference with me there. Tires are just drying off, and then I'm going to tire slick them once they're fully dry. But hopefully you can agree, from what we started off earlier, the car is now starting to look that white again. Man, I'm going to be on Marketplace, and I'm going to be on Auto Trader, looking at these cars to see where they're at price-wise, because honestly, as a saloon guy myself, I'm absolutely in love, and I haven't even reached the interior yet. So, okay, final steps on the outside. Let's keep to the task at hand. We're going to treat the glass. We're going to go mental today. Really, this car needs a clay bar and needs a compound polish, but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to treat the glass with a hydrophobic coating. That means whenever it rains, the water's just going to sheet off that even further. It also means it's actually safer when he's driving, because if it's very heavy rain, the water will actually not just rely on the wipers. We're going to do that, and then we're going to slick the tires, and that is the outside done. Less is more with this stuff, guys. You don't need to spray loads on, otherwise you get that terrible smearing. Little spritz, and then what is called a fisheye cloth, which is this. You shouldn't need a microfiber of this afterwards. You just, oh, nice and light. And because it's a nice sunny day here at the minute and the rain has stopped, have used the reflection on the glass, use the sunlight to see if you have any smearing. We shouldn't at the minute. And then the last thing you'll do is, once you do the inside, go back and just cover off the outside, because there's things there that I'll say, oh, I've missed something or I haven't, and it's actually on the inside. So leave it to me. I'm going to do the glass. I'm going to very much focus on the windscreen as well. So wheels, there's two camps of this. Some people prefer the satin look, some people prefer the slick gloss look. I'm somewhere in between. Lots of different brands out there. The one I'm using today is just Autoglym high performance tire gel, because really it's a nice balance between performance and budget. There's some really cheap ones out there that are literally just like oil silicate. It looks great sitting on the forecourt, it looks great on the driveway. As soon as you go to drive that, it'll just flick up the side of your nicely clean car. This stuff doesn't. As with most things with car care, less is more. You don't need to soak it. There's lots of different ways to put them on. Sponges, towels, some people just use like a cut up microfiber. I use this, it's a little hockey puck kind of thing. And I'm gonna set that on the ground, let you see. Little brush, just pop it on, and then when you're finished, put it on. I've actually only used this once before and I've been really impressed, so let's see how we get on. And then we're just gonna work around the tire. And hopefully you can see the difference that a slick tire makes to, it's actually not overly bad. There's some of the cheap ones, guys, will crack the tire, but if you use a decent one like Autoglym, A-Kem and so on, I think I'll do a half and half there, so you can see, hopefully, dry brown tire, starting to slick it up. I'm going to do a couple of coats of this and I'll show you the after. Here we go, a janky before and after. So this is our before. You'll see tire brown, nastiness. Okay, yes, please ignore the pitting in the wheel, but that's just how it is. And then we go around this side, and hopefully you will see, with the light in Northern Ireland not being great, slicked. If you only have a small budget, maybe invest in a decent soap, decent mitt. A power washer is like a secondary thing. You can get away with a hose actually, but decent glass cleaner, tire slick and alloy wheel cleaner. Everything else looks after itself. And like myself, you just build it up over the space of years. Little and often means you don't use a huge amount of product, and it does last a while. So before we even look at the interior, massive difference. And again, the car hasn't been clay barred, hasn't been polished, but it looks great. Alfa Romeo did not need to go as hard with this interior, but they did. And that's why if you buy an Alfa rather than a BMW, and again, I used to sell BMWs for a living, if you go for an Alfa or something with a little bit of thought and design flair, it just makes it a much nicer place to sit every day. Okay, the screen, it is a must. I'm going to turn that on in a minute. It has the 8F gearbox, which is actually BMW shifter. It has their equivalent of the iDrive, which actually looks identical too. But even small things like these real aluminium paddles, not the plastic, just lovely. Seats wise, these are the quadrifolio seats. Small silly things like it has the lovely things in the headrests. Yeah, I am a saloon guy, so I'm absolutely doting over this car. Like even the gloss black, and it is just, it's just lovely. Dashboard, we're going to treat it. I'm not a massive fan of the silicate based shiny stuff. Shiny equals good, as car dealers say. No, it doesn't, it's lazy. We're going to treat it with a nice satin finish, dust it obviously so far first. Leather steering wheel, we will probably give it a little bit of a coating, and we don't want it too slick because this is a daily driver for the owner. Vacuum, seats are going to be the same. Going to do the interior glass with an isopropyl alcohol to get it properly clean, and then we'll do all the bits and pieces that he touch. We'll finish with the door shuts and make it lovely, lovely. Let's go. door shuts are all done. It's them small things that make a massive difference when you walk up to the car. Most cars, when they're clean here, but dirty there, because why would you clean there? Again, it just makes a nicer thing. Let's get busy with the interior, and if we have time, we'll look at the boot. Okay, so interior is now vacuumed, lovely. There's some residue and stuff, bits and pieces here, but that's not going to come out with the vacuum. It's going to need to use some cleaning product, which we're going to do in a second. As with most things in a car, what did I say today? Less is more. So I'm going to use like a trim cleaning agent, and I'm going to use very little. I'm not going to spray everywhere. I'm going to spray it on the cloth, wipe, buff. Simple as that. Spray it on the cloth, wipe it on, flip the cloth over, and then buff it off. I can't stress, it's always okay to add a little more if you need it, but you can't take it off very easily, so little. And I'm just going to do all our dash plastics. This is like a satin spray, so don't expect like this kind of weird gleamy shiny thing at the end. That's not what I am about. We're going to do nice and satin, nice and clean, and match the kind of look of the car. Finish then with interior glass, and then we'll finish with those beautiful seats.